I'm a home cook who consumes way too much online food content, but the problem is I've always been a little scared to attempt making dishes from other cuisines. I mean, what could go wrong? But since I have the handy dandy internet, let's see if I can learn how to make butter chicken in 24 hours. Before we actually start cooking, we need to do a little research, so let's start with good old trusty Google. Okay, there's 4 main components to making butter chicken. First, you marinate the chicken in a spiced yogurt, then the aromatics are cooked, then the chicken is cooked, and finally the sauce is made of some sort of tomato product and cream. Also, it's garnished with cilantro, but we gotta stay authentic, so let's go with it. Now, onto YouTube to learn the proper cooking techniques.
And let it marinate. Sear for 2. Masala ka 1. Sema.
And finally, my new favorite place for recipes, TikTok.
Chicken cut into 1-inch butter chicken.
Welcome to the testing phase. Here's the game plan. This is the recipe I came up with from my very scientific and very serious research, and over the next 21-ish hours, we'll cook and taste it, adjust the recipe, cook and taste again, and repeat until we end up with something hopefully tasty. Okay, let's finally cook. Let's start with the marinade. To the yogurt, add a squeeze of lemon, garam masala, turmeric, cumin, please exit the bottle, salt, and the bone-in chicken thighs, and let's give her a nice massage. While that marinates in the fridge for at least 30 minutes, we can prep our aromatics, and over medium heat, melt the butter and toss in the onions, garlic, ginger, cumin seeds, garam masala, and cook until it's fragrant. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Okay, not going the way I wanted it to. No, it has to be this way, right? What? I got it! I don't think I've ever been this proud of myself. But after that's cooked down for 10 minutes, we can add in our chicken and let that cook for another 5 minutes before adding the chicken stock and simmering for another 30. Stir in the ground almonds and cream before simmering for another 10. And finally, taste test and salt to taste. First of all, I just want to say how impressed I am that I even made this, regardless of how it tastes. Something is not right. Starting with the high points, the chicken is perfectly cooked, and honestly, that's about it. My main complaints: this took way too long to cook, the flavor and the balance of flavors is completely off, and it's not creamy at all. Yeah, on to round 2. Even though the chicken was perfect, it took way too long to cook, so we're swapping in boneless chicken thigh pieces instead. And to mimic that tandoori or grilled flavor, we're searing the chicken separately instead of cooking it in the sauce. To fix the overly tomatoey-ness of the previous recipe, I'm using a mix of tomato paste and fresh tomatoes to hopefully get a concentrated yet fresh flavor without adding too much volume. Oh, I didn't blend the last one, which is probably why it wasn't creamy or velvety, so we're trying that this time. Simmer everything together before asking yourself, is this right? And again, don't forget to taste test. This time we're also adding sugar to balance the sourness of the tomatoes, the sweetness of the chili, and the fattiness of the butter and cream. I think we're getting closer. It's definitely more of a brown than orange, but I think that's because I messed up and I cooked the aromatics on too high of a heat. Let's see how much closer we got in terms of flavor. We're close, folks. We're close. Okay, let's start with the improvements. In terms of texture, this is a lot closer. I also really like the switch to chicken thighs. It's a lot easier to eat, and I think it's even more tender. And this took like half the time to cook. In terms of flavor, it's almost perfectly balanced with the sweet, salty, sour, and spicy. Lots of improvement, but I think there's still a few things to tweak. I will say there's a little hint of bitterness, but I think that's again because I overheated the aromatics. I think I'm not a fan of the almond. I don't know, even when you blend it, there's still a coarse texture. So I think I'm gonna omit. I think I'm going to omit that in the next version, but I would happily eat this. I am already exhausted. Thanks. So I'm going to clean up, take a nap, recaffeinate, and then we'll come back. And I think after taste testing the last one, I have pretty high hopes. So I'll see you in a few hours. So I fell asleep, but we still have time. We have 5 more hours, but we have everything we need to succeed today. Our trusty caffeine and our notes from yesterday, so let's just do it. While I was drifting off to sleep last night, I realized that there was something missing in terms of flavor, like a light bitter earthiness, and after some more research, I think it's fenugreek and coriander seeds, so we're trying that. To hopefully fix the textural issues, let's blend first and then stir the cream in afterwards, and oh, also no nuts this time. It's actually orange this time. And we're done. This looks like the butter chicken I'm used to ordering. I actually have a store-bought butter chicken to test against. My fingers are burning. Ow. This probably looks disgusting. This one seems to be more on the tomatoey side and more soupy. Let's taste the reference first. Let's just use a spoon. This one is very tomatoey, very, honestly, a little spicy, which I like. But I don't know if that's traditional. Please let me know. It does have a more complex flavor profile, and I think this one has the ground up nuts in the sauce, which I don't really like, so I left it out of my version, but I think that is the traditional way to make it. I think the standout quality of this is that bitter undertone. I'm pretty sure there's some spice or some technique that I'm missing. Not my particular favorite store-bought butter chicken, but let's see how mine stacks up. The nice thing about learning how to cook is that you can make dishes the way you like it, and I think this is definitely an Americanized version, but I can't help but like it. I honestly like this one more than the restaurant version, but yeah, let me know what you think about this version. I would rate this a 9 out of 10. So in my book, that means I have passed, and we have successfully learned how to make butter chicken in less than 24 hours. Even though I ended up sleeping for most of them, but
a few inches later.
We can finally stop this timer. Here is my final recipe. This was so fun diving headfirst into learning about a dish I've been so intimidated to make for so long. I kind of felt like a little recipe developer, and it was so cool to learn about a cuisine that is so uniquely different than the ones I'm used to cooking. And my ultimate goal was to be respectful of the cuisine and the culture I was learning from, so hopefully I was successful in that. And I ended up with a butter chicken recipe I love, so I'm calling this a success. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video and what dish you want to see me learn how to make next. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!